In this video, historic news. House Democrats introduce a plan to pay Americans $2,000 a month until economy recovers from COVID-19. And this news is breaking just as we're seeing many Americans reporting that they are getting their stimulus check of $1.2 thousand. It seems like the United States is starting to go full on Venezuela, full on Zimbabwe. I want to talk about that. And I also want to show you this price chart of Bitcoin, showing us that Bitcoin is currently in a fantastic buy opportunity. Historically, I want to show you exactly what's going to happen in the next few years here. And if you think that that sounds interesting, then I think that you should definitely watch this video. Hello guys and welcome to the moon. My name is Carl and I'm going to bring you this cryptocurrency video. And look at this, the Bitcoin price is currently pumping. Bitcoin needs to get back above basically 7,000. If Bitcoin gets back above 7,000, then we're getting a higher high in the short term here. So this is something that I will be watching in the immediate future here, as Bitcoin is currently testing towards the upside here. And if I bring up the lines that I've been talking about for the past few days, we can see here that Bitcoin briefly did in fact break down below this bear flag. As you can see, Bitcoin came below this white upwards trending support and bottomed out down here at approximately 6,450. Now, we didn't see any significant volume follow this breakout. You can see down here that this volume is not very significant compared to previous volume. So this did not confirm a breakout, but of course it did look quite bearish here as we start to move down lower. And now we saw a pump back up. Now we can see this resistance box here, this green resistance box between 7,000 down to 6,860 approximately. As long as Bitcoin is below this $7,000 level, I think it's still possible that the bearish scenario might play out in the short term. However, if Bitcoin is now able to break through this $7,000 level on volume, then it is possible that we might see yet another leg up here in this potential bear flag before we see any other big move take place in Bitcoin. And when we zoom out to the 4-hourly chart, we can see here that the volatility is still low. Bitcoin is basically going slightly upwards in this channel, and the volume is still declining. Of course, the volume relatively is very low, but it is of course still high volume compared to the lower points of volume we had back here. But relatively, we are getting a declining volume, and usually this means that we are going to see soon a big move as soon as this pattern resolves. Guys, look at this. As I was editing this video, we can see how Bitcoin did break above $7,000 and is currently at approximately $7,060. The next major point for Bitcoin to break will be this previous high here at 7,193. But this is a more bullish turn of event in the short term. And now it sure seems like this upwards trending support has been holding up, and this must have been just a fake out, and we're back into this upwards trending channel. And guys, look at this. In the pinned comment, you will find a link to Bybit. They now have a new bonus of up to $1.5 thousand bonus for new and already registered users. This is only for experienced traders. And when we zoom out here on the 1-hour time frame, if I just pull out this line that I've been talking about for a long time now, we can see that Bitcoin is basically testing this very, very important resistance line. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times Bitcoin tested it here. We tested it there, and Bitcoin is currently actually breaking through this very, very important level. Obviously, we need to see a decisive break with maybe even a 4-hourly close, maybe even a daily close to just confirm that. But currently, Bitcoin is really trying to break through here. The bulls are trying to get back the control over the Bitcoin price. Next up, the major news story for today. House Democrats introduce plan to pay Americans $2,000 a month until economy recovers from the current COVID-19 virus outbreak. Guys, isn't that crazy? I mean, we're seeing the US talking about going full on Zimbabwe here, and it's only a matter of time before we see the whole global governments start talking about all of these kind of stimulus packages, and the US is the one that is really aggressive now. Most of you probably remember that the US already has been handing out $1.2 thousand to Americans, and now we are seeing Americans reporting that they are getting these stimulus checks. So if you go over to Reddit, you can see here that this person said, "Got my stimulus check today, time to get more Bitcoin." And another guy says here, "Just got my stimulus check, aka $1.2 thousand worth of Bitcoin." So some people over on Twitter had some fun and speculated maybe this pump now is happening because of the fact that people are getting these stimulus checks and buying Bitcoin. Now, obviously, I don't think that this is correlated directly, but indirectly, I think that this eventually will have an effect on the Bitcoin price, because when we see governments print money out of nothing, then of course the confidence in the currency will be lost, and eventually people will be looking for alternatives, and Bitcoin cannot be printed. So let's take a look at this article and see what this is all about. So the Emergency Money for the People Act would give $2,000 a month to Americans over the age of 16 who make less than $130,000 a year. The payments would continue for at least 6 months and would last until unemployment falls to pre-coronavirus levels. A one-time $1.2 thousand check isn't going to cut it, Khanna said. Americans need sustained cash infusions for the duration of this crisis in order to come out on the other side alive, healthy, and ready to get back to work. And is this going to solve the problem? No, of course not. Like I've said so many times, nothing can ever be solved by printing money. This is not a solution. It's just a temporary measure. And the interesting part is that whenever the governments and the central banks do something and they call it temporary, it always ends up being permanent. And this is probably not an exception. I believe that if they start printing money out of thin air and just handing it out to everybody, then we will see this eventually just continue on and on and on, just like from 2008. Remember, all of the financial stimulus back then was supposed to be temporary. Now, all these years later, there was nothing being done to come back to a pre-2008 levels, and basically the temporary measure became permanent, and they're now starting to print off of these already high levels. And also, of course, the gold standard is the perfect example also. When they abolished the gold standard, that was also said to be a temporary thing. Basically, the dollar was supposed to go back to the gold standard in the future. Now, in hindsight, we can see that that never happened, and obviously, this temporary measure was a permanent measure. And guys, the big risk when you print so much currency out of thin air like this is that you get a hyperinflation. And even though the economy right now is slowing down, if you print during this economic downturn, eventually, when you get sort of a breather in the economy, all of this currency doesn't just disappear. All of this currency will come out and flood into all of these the goods and services out there, and this will put a high pressure, of course, on the prices, and we will see price inflation. And hyperinflations are very rare, but they have happened several times before in history. We've seen the Weimar Republic back in the 20s, and we've also seen Venezuela and Zimbabwe. And if you go even further back in history, you will see many more examples of what happens when governments start printing currency out of nothing. However, if you do receive free money from the government, you might as well spend it on something that will hold its value, because saving this stimulus check will do nothing good. Eventually, this will be worth nothing. Eventually, they will be printing quadrillions of dollars, and this $2,000 check you get every month is going to be basically worthless, just like in Venezuela, Zimbabwe. This is what happens when they print currency like this. What I personally would do if I got $2,000 worth a month from my government, I would probably just buy assets that will hold its value, like gold, silver, Bitcoin, and maybe something that will create cash flow, something that will maintain its value and may even give dividends. That is something that would be very, very valuable. But everyone who has a long-term savings account now and has a long-term thinking into saving fiat will be the biggest losers in the coming years. And I also want to show you this chart, guys. Look at this. The Bitcoin rainbow price chart. We can see that whenever Bitcoin is in this blue band here, Bitcoin is at a fantastic buying opportunity. and we can see that this halving happened back here in this blue area. This halving also happened down here in this blue area, and this halving that is coming up in only 26 days will also take place in this blue area. And as you can see here, based on the two previous halvings, if you bought at these two halvings, you would have phenomenal returns in the next couple of years, and I believe that the exact same thing will play out in the next couple of years. And in a couple of years, when we see the Bitcoin price soar up towards 100,000, 200,000, up to maybe $400,000, Bitcoin will once again get into these red areas. And we've seen Bitcoin come up to these red areas before, and of course that is the perfect time to take profits. So let's just also sometimes take a look at this long term, and we can see that Bitcoin is currently very oversold historically, and personally I think that this is a very, very good time to buy Bitcoin. And if you are getting free money from the government, why not take that opportunity to actually accumulate some hard money Bitcoin. This is it for this video. I truly hope that you enjoyed it, and if you want to leave a thumbs up down below, that would be appreciated. Let's see if we can get this video to 3,000 likes. That would be amazing. Thank you very much for watching. Click this video if you haven't seen it before, and I will see you guys tomorrow.